Good morning. Hang on. Got to stay off the Wi-Fi. It doesn't like that. So you know what day it is? It is hump day. Mike. He's still sleeping, so I can't do it too loud. So let's talk about finances because there's been quite a few messages about that. Let's remember some of the stuff that we've learned about money. So first of all, what is money? Money is a vehicle to get the things that you want. Money can be freedom. Money can be a burden. It can be a lot of things. What does it do for you? Well, money magnifies. Let's remember that money magnifies whomever you are. If you're happy, you're going to be more happy. If you're miserable, you're going to be more miserable. If you're depressed, you're going to be more depressed. If you're a jerk, you're going to be a bigger jerk. If you're generous, you're going to be much more generous. So money magnifies. So whatever you are now, if you add $10 million, you're going to be a lot more of that person. So you want to, don't think to yourself that money's going to provide happiness, because it's not. If you're not happy now, then you're not going to be happy with a lot more money. If you're worried about money, adding more money actually doesn't change that either. You'll actually have more financial pressure, not less. So think about somebody that you know, because you probably do, who worried about money their whole life. I was raised Catholic. Catholics are great at this. Catholic guilt is perfect for creating this scenario. You're worried about money your whole life, so you always come from a place of lack, and it's always save. You got to save the money. And then they reach a point later in life where they have saved a certain level of money that they always thought would create financial security. Once they get to that point, then they stop doing anything. Instead of growing, they're dying. Remember, we're either growing or we're dying. If you know somebody like this, are they now relaxed and don't have financial pressure or financial stress? And the answer is no, they're not. They still worry about that money, and they worry about it constantly. What do the wealthy people do with money? So first of all, they have learned, a lot of times because they were taught by their parents, they have learned the psychology of wealth, because wealth, just like any business, is 80% psychology and 20% science, 20% activity, 20% standards, 20% systems. But 80% of it is just believing that you're worth, you're entitled, your expectations are that you're going to have that financial independence. And I can tell you this from personal experience, that, that elusive $1 million number in 1 year happened when I made it a must. When all of a sudden I said, this has to happen or the world's going to fall apart, then it happened. And it wasn't necessarily that I did more work or less work, or necessarily that even the cases were that much different. It was just that all of a sudden I made it a must, and then it happened. Tony Robbins has a great story where he made himself, changed his beliefs so that he had an expectation that he was to make $1 million in a year. And then he did that, and then he kept doing that every year. 4 years later, he had started a bunch more companies. He was doing 10 times the amount of business in his companies, but he was still only making $1 million. Well, why? Because he hadn't changed his psychology. He had not changed his personal standards as to what he should receive in personal income. So it's 80% psychology that, in fact, you deserve that, or that it should happen for you. And remember, money is just an exchange in value. It's a social contract. We agree that something is worth something, and then it's an exchange in value. If you want to have more money, create more value for other people that everybody else is doing in that marketplace. Find an area of the marketplace that is not being fulfilled and then fill it, and do so with more value, and you will make more money. It's that simple. Now, when's a great time to be doing that? Is it when things are all good and the world is stable? Or is it when things are all disrupted and the world is in chaos? It's when the world's in chaos. When things are burning to the ground like they are right now, this is the perfect time for new industries. This is the perfect time to create some sort of new company, new idea, new approach to the same thing that results in massive amounts of money, because you're going to create even more value for people, because people are uncertain right now. People are worried. People are scared, and they're responding in that fashion. So if you can ease that pain, then there's going to be a financial reward for that. And if you take a look at the companies that are thriving right now, I mean, you have massive companies that have been around forever that are basically done. The only reason Boeing is around is because the government said that they were going to back them, so everybody else decided to back them. The only reason half of these industries are around right now is because the taxpayers are paying them money, and the government just continues to buy the company's debt. They're not buying their stock. They're doing it even one better. They're buying their debt. Imagine that you had a company and you didn't have to pay your debt because the government would just keep buying it, and you knew that if push came to shove, the government would forgive the debt. Well, that makes your bottom line pretty good. Well, that's what we're doing in the United States right now. But the companies that are creating certainty for people, the companies that are creating the ability to still work for people, companies like Zoom, companies like Square, these companies are skyrocketing and thriving because they're fulfilling a need. So money is 80% psychology. Coming to the conclusion that you deserve that. How do you start that? We do it with our momentum cycle that we talked about. You start out with the little things, and you start out with incantations, you start out with goals, and then you move forward, and over time, you will change your psychology in terms of the money that you need. But start thinking about it in this fashion. Where can I fulfill a need that isn't being fulfilled, that's in high demand? And how can I do it in a way that adds more value than everybody else? And by the way, where I got that is every billionaire that's ever been interviewed. That's exactly what they said. And multimillionaire too, that's ever been interviewed. That's exactly where they said. Exactly what they said. Second thing to think about. What do you do with money once you get it? Well, what do poor people do with money once they get it? If you haven't read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, now's the time in order to read that. And did you read The Richest Man in Babylon? Also an amazing book that you should read. So what do poor people do with money when they get money? They hang on to it. Like I just talked about, the typical Catholics. They put it in an account, and then the bigger that account gets, the more security they think they have. But actually they don't feel secure. They feel less secure. Well, what happens with money when you're hanging on to it right now? Does it go up in value or does it go down? It goes down. Your money is going to be worth less in a year than it is now. The bank pays you nothing in order to hang on to the money. When you give your money to the bank, you're lending it to the bank. You're saying, here, you can take my money and you can go lend it to other people so that they can try to use it for things, and they have to pay you money, they have to pay you interest in order for that luxury. Well, how much does the bank pay you to lend the money to them? Nothing. They pay you what, 0.05 or 0.03 or some ridiculously small amount of money. So when you hang on to cash, you are losing it. What do rich people do with money? They put it to work. And they put it to work for two reasons. Number one, because the way to get wealthy is to have money work for you while you sleep. But they also do it for a psychological reason. They take their cash and they put their cash to work because it forces them to go get more cash. They don't have just a pile sitting in a corner. I mean, they do in a way. But they don't have a pile sitting in a corner because that way then it forces them to go make more. There was a brilliant guy that was a mentor to me who lived in my hometown for years. He was an extraordinary businessman named Don Morris. And Don Morris was the type of guy that he could go look at any business, and in minutes he could evaluate that business. He could tell you how much money it was making, and he could take almost any business and multiply it by 3 or 4 just by implementing new strategies and new systems in the business. The guy was amazing at it. But then I swear he would throw away money just to challenge himself to go make more, because then he would go buy like the craziest thing in the world just to get rid of cash so that he would be forced to go take a look at something else and climb the next mountain of success. So there's great disruptions going on right now. So let's talk about money for the next couple of days. So number one, understand this is the time when there is incredible levels of opportunity. It is much easier to make money when the world is burning to the ground than when it's being built. And it's burning to the ground right now. So there's opportunity everywhere. I know lots of people are being laid off. Lots of people's jobs are in jeopardy. Now's the time when there's ways to make significant amounts of money in very short periods of time. And by the way, location doesn't matter anymore. It used to be that we all thought that location mattered. Let me give you a tip. Right now, everybody's going to work virtually for the next year, 2 years, God knows how long. San Francisco is a ghost town. Everybody's left. People are leaving Chicago and New York in absolute droves. Los Angeles people are coming to Wisconsin. They're coming to Northern Illinois. They're coming to Michigan. Everybody's going to work virtually. So where you live right now doesn't mean anything. Half of the people that I employ are nowhere near Freeport, Illinois. I have full-time employees in Freeport, Illinois, and then I outsource various different parts of my business, my law business, to other people who live all over the place. So location doesn't matter. You can be sitting anywhere as long as you got broadband, as long as you got the internet. You can work for anybody in the world, and right now that's perfectly acceptable. So massive amounts of opportunities. Number one, start thinking about your psychology. How much money do you want? Write the number down. How much is it that you want to make in a year? How much is it that you want to make in the next 5 years? And what's your ultimate goal in terms of your net worth? Write it down. Look at it every day. Then start thinking about where are the areas that I can take and fill a void that isn't being filled and create more value for other people than other people are doing. What talents do you have? Everybody's got them. What do you have that you can bring to the table that other people will pay dearly for? Because I guarantee that it's something. And then third, read those books if you haven't read those books, but start thinking like a rich person. Rich people put money to work. They don't stuff it in a mattress or stuff it in a bank account. They think about creating what's called a money machine. And we'll talk about that tomorrow, but we'll do a little drop so that you got to come back tomorrow. You want to create a money machine, a system of investments that make more money than what you make at your job. That way, then, you can work wherever you want and whenever you want, and something else is paying your bills. That's the goal, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Rest of this week, let's talk about this. This is a great opportunity. There is so much going on out there right now that you could make tremendous amounts of money right now, and you can do it all online. There's tons of availability and tons of opportunity. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other. Thanks for watching.